Attention all available units, we have a 918. I repeat, we have a 918. 10-8 Cthulhu on duty. Hello everyone and welcome to the very first episode of Content Cthulhu, the only show where you get to watch a fat ass bitch about people on the internet. Our first head-first dive into the cesspool of the internet is going to be covering a very special boy, a very edgy special boy, or used to be edgy, by the name of iDubbbzTV, or Ian Jomha.
Jump down, and then say some fucking gay shit. I'm gay.
Now, there's a multitude of places that you might know Idubbbz from, whether that be Bad Unboxing.
Well, pink-haired anime, your time has come. Aunt Jemima is replacing you. Bitch!
Kickstarter crap.
The last time I saw a neck that red was at my cousin's wedding, which was to me, it was my wedding, because we're rednecks. Rednecks marry each other. They inbreed.
Or Slenderman Gangnam Style.
He's right there. No. Don't come near me.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
What me and most of the internet remember Idubbbz from is Content Cop.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Content Cop. As you can probably tell, I can hardly contain myself right now, because today is the day we get to bully Leafy.
Content Cop is a series of call-out videos that would range from this person's a lazy content creator to this person genuinely has a harmful presence on the internet. And these videos would do 10 million views almost, not because he was edgy or because he was saying offensive things, but because he had good points to make and he was funny when he did it.
If it is a parody of storytime videos, and you're admitting to almost committing a crime by recording someone without their knowledge of you having sex with them, you'd think you'd at least be intelligent enough to say, guys, this was a joke. This was a parody.
Put her ass on the internet. Put her ass on the internet.
You should plaster parody all over it. You shouldn't say at the end of it,
Based on a true story.
I completely understand why you delete that video. It sort of ruins all future prospects of you having sexual intercourse with anyone.
But that's not to pretend like these videos were entirely harmless either. He said some genuinely very offensive, very, very offensive things that a lot of people took a lot of issue with, especially when people got older and people began to grow out of that kind of edgy era of YouTube. And Ian did adapt to that and apologize for things that he did and try to turn over a new leaf. He went on to do documentaries, which we will get to that later. But generally, Ian was on a better track, it seems, with his career.
I was being very bigoted in a lot of my videos, and I justified it because, I didn't think it was too serious. And I thought that people were going to see that I had good intentions, but that's so silly, Casual racism is still racism. Casual bigotry is still bigotry. And, I said a lot of things that I look back at and I cringe now, and I'm like, that is an awful thing to say.
So you might be asking yourself, dear viewer, what the hell happened? What could have possibly happened that made you put on your costume and dance your fat ass across the street? Two things. Number one, I'm not fat, I'm big boned. Leave your fat phobia at the door. Number two, Ian has become more harmful now than he ever was before.
Fuck! And what the fuck is it with you?
I don't know if you guys are privy to this concept, but There's been a bit of a conflict in the Middle East in the last couple of years, and specifically 2 YouTubers got into a kerfuffle over it. Those 2 YouTubers being H3H3, Ethan Klein.
That's what it's called, right? The one after Grandmaster?
Alright, where were we? I wanted to say Hassan is the human embodiment of...
And Hassan Piker.
Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
I'm not going to cover the fallout of the Leftovers podcast. All you need to know for the context of this video is that Ethan's community and Hassan's community were having endless back and forth that eventually led to Bad Empanada making the claim that Ethan was allowing his children to eat dog shit off of the floor.
The other house is just like covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit. God forbid. I don't know what they do with it.
I told this story on the show a few weeks ago about how when we adopted Olive, she had Giardia. And then the next day, Sonny started having diarrhea, so we suspected he might have Giardia. Seeing as that he's an infant, he's crawling around, he's putting everything in his mouth, etc. Makes sense, right? It's obvious. So it turned into this whole snark narrative that our house is a mess, that there's dog shit everywhere, that Sonny is eating shit and getting Giardia, and that, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And, well, it culminated in somebody finally, an anonymous call went into them on the 3rd, saying that they were somebody that works at the house, and they wanted to report us because our kids are crawling around eating dog shit and getting viruses.
Editor Cthulhu here with some fast facts about Giardia. 280 million people a year are infected with Giardia in the U.S. alone. It is very common, and one of the most common ways people get infected with Giardia is contact with infected pets.
Denims, who is publicly friends with Anissa Jomha, they both actually have a podcast together, broadcasted this Bad Empanada video claiming that Ethan is abusing his children.
They contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog that is all over his house.
So this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children. I mean, much like many other illnesses, it's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own. How is this happening? How is it happening? How is this happening?
Ethan felt it necessary to directly reach out to iDubbbz to ask if he could come out publicly and say that Ethan does not abuse his children. Ian would outright deny doing it, saying that he didn't want to get himself involved in the conflict.
So Ethan's upset with I think some of our connections, and we've tried to reach out to Ethan to talk privately. Basically, it just seems like we're at a bit of an impasse. So we want to stay out of the drama as much as possible. We don't want to pile on and add to anything.
Do I believe that Ian had to speak out about the Ethan stuff? Absolutely not. In fact, Ian could have just stayed entirely silent about it. The problem is that your wife is publicly friends with someone who is actively pushing and actively broadcasting this claim. Does she ever directly say he's doing it? Obviously not. But it doesn't really change anything when her community is one of the biggest proponents of claiming that Ethan is abusing his children. Eventually, all of this would lead into Content Cop H3, Ian's most deplorable, most disgusting, and most dishonest content cop he has ever created. Throughout this entire video, Ian never once mentions the CPS call, but he paints Ethan as a sociopath who is harassing all these people, and he's creating this unhealthy environment online while using clips specifically from the episode CPS was called to our house. The opening sketch is incredibly unfunny and weirdly culty. everyone dancing in this video has outright called for death threats.
Listen, I'll up the number, okay? $30K to anyone who'll make this dipshit disappear and make Eve's breasts bigger. Okay, you have to do both.
Right? We would have socialism at this point if someone just went out of their way and it would be so easy. This is what happens when you don't kill every single slave owner after slavery. They have children, and their children have children's, and their children have children's.
Oh, you found his account?
Today, I will show you 3 ways you can use your smart.
Wait, this is the guy?
First thing we want to do is download the YouTube VPN app, which we can do through the first link in the description.
Fuck are you gonna do, bro? Write a petition? Let's do a crusade, he says. Let's do a fucking crusade, he says. Let's hang Hassan and Mamdani for treason, he says.
Aside from Frogan, who said that soldiers should get PTSD and told Ludwig to take back his donation to Palestinians because he wasn't pure enough for her heart.
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers. Distress, thank you so much. I will never have any fucking pity for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD.
So I personally donated 10K. Because I think it is worthwhile. And if you guys got some extra bread, I would recommend you donate. But I won't throw it on you, you know what I mean? No thanks. And some people are going to say that, you know what I mean? That's why it's the difference.
This is a cracker take.
Difference between like, hey, I can put my money where my mouth is, but I don't need to put your money there. I don't need to enter a fucking debate about whether that's worthwhile.
But in my opinion, the worst part of this video is an allegation regarding Noah Samsen. Someone claiming to be one of Noah Samsen's ex-girlfriends went on the H3 podcast to speak about the negative experiences she had while being intimately engaged with Noah Samsen.
So, well, okay, first, we both were in agreement that, like, this is casual. We didn't want anything serious. I was coming out of a really toxic 3-year-long relationship, so I was not looking for anything serious. So the expectation wasn't that we were exclusively dating each other. But when we were talking about hooking up without protection, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, that there's open communication. If, you know, we can date other people, but if we are going to hook up with other people, that needs to be a conversation that we need to have just for my own health and safety.
Just to summarize, you guys are having unprotected sex. Even though you're not like in a committed relationship, you've expressed, and obviously I feel like this is even self-obvious. I don't even think you necessarily need to say anything for this to be true. But you told him, listen, since we're having unprotected sex, if you're sleeping with other people, you need to tell me.
Exactly. Yeah, we the first few times we hooked up, it was protected, and then it was just one of those times that we didn't have anything. And before we even did anything, I made sure that, like, I was very, very clear about my expectations and my boundaries. And it was that, you know, if we're going to have sex with other people, it needs to be talked about with each other.
Of course, the concern being that he's having other unprotected sex with other women, and then all of a sudden, all of his sexual partners are becoming like essentially your sexual partners in some way, because whatever they've got, he's going to pick up and he's going to bring it home, bring it back to you.
Exactly.
Specifically, they had an arrangement that they would only have unprotected sex with each other. She would only have sex with Noah Samsen under these pretenses. However, Noah Samsen had lied to her. He was already sleeping with multitudes of people, unprotected, and she didn't know, and they broke it off. Now, Ian sums up this allegation as Noah Samsen being a bad boyfriend.
Ethan brought on a former partner of Noah to basically just shit talk him and say that he's a bad partner. But that's all that Ethan was able to extract out of it.
You are not accusing him of committing any crimes or doing R-word or anything like that. The accusation is that he's a sleaze.
Absolutely. Noah
Yeah.
Samsen, as far as I know, is not a rapist.
Fuck you to Noah Samsen, who's not just a liar and a scumbag, but also a creep.
Basically downplaying everything that she said about Noah Samsen on the H3 livestream. Now, obviously, this is just Ian doing poor research, and it's not like you could maybe go to the description of the video and look down to see who helped create him and directly see that Noah Samsen was directly involved with the creation of the video. I mean, that'd be really bad, wouldn't it? Am I saying that this definitely happened and Noah Samsen is guilty? Absolutely not. This is just a he said, she said situation. I do find it incredibly curious that instead of just immediately shooting this down as a false allegation, instead they downplay what the allegation was, and specifically Noah Samsen helped create the video. If this truly was a false allegation, you'd believe it'd be pretty easy to shoot down. In fact, this seems like it could be a really good slam dunk against Ethan Klein. Ethan is a very petty person and has definitely been prone to using false stories, at least at first, to try and take down people he perceives as his enemies. So this seems like it'd be a slam dunk. Unless it wasn't a slam dunk. Unless specifically they were colluding to downplay the allegations because Noah Samsen has a reputation to upkeep. Again, I'm not saying that any of this actually happened. I'm not going to make that claim at all. What you should really take away from all of this is that Ian was being willfully dishonest, specifically to make Ethan look worse. Oh, good! Creator Clash was something that Ian did post some weird beef he had with Rice Gum. And essentially, it's getting all these influencers together to punch each other in the face for charity. And you know what? The general concept, I love it, right? The idea that you could see, I don't know, Bookie2988 beat up Darkside Phil for money sounds like I'd pay so much fucking money to see that.
I'm saying...
I'm not used to this level of scrutiny!
Creator Clash 1 was a resounding success. Over $1 million raised for a multitude of charities. People were excited for the next one, but Creator Clash 2 just couldn't keep up the momentum. It lost $250,000.
So I think it's best to be transparent. For Creator Clash 2, despite it being a fun event and despite good fights and a lot of creators sacrificing a lot of time, money, and energy, we lost $250,000 on the event.
It going into the red isn't bad in and of itself necessarily. Things happen, freak accidents happen, and it doesn't mean that someone's morally wrong because they tried to run a charity event and it failed miserably. But it's when you look into the financials, it's when you look into the organization of the event that you begin to realize that this was an inevitable outcome of the kind of decisions that Ian and Anissa were making during the creation of Creator Clash 2. Each fighter was making an incredibly large purse on top of a promise of a bonus at the end of the final fight night.
But just to be clear, so you got the $20K down initially, and then there was a $27,000 bonus on the night of the fight, but not a bonus for the fight of the night.
Yeah, exactly. When I don't know. We didn't know that was coming. That came out of nowhere, and it was neat. It was a cool thing. Like, okay, because when Creator Clash 2 happened, now people were like, what about the bonus thing? Because there was a bonus that, like, what's going to happen with that? What's the logic of that? How's that going to play out?
Wait, so was this after they found out or before they found out that no money was going to charity?
Oh, no. Once everyone found out no money was going to charity, not a single person was like, where's my money?
Okay, got it.
I think everyone... But there was a couple people, like, for example, the guy that I boxed, John, was kind of counting on that. Another buddy of mine was like, oh, I really needed that. Oh, shit. And it ended up being zero when people were kind of doing like the mental gymnastics of like, oh, wow, that amount, that could be, if this sells like Creator Clash 1, that could be $50,000 or something like that. When the fight was done the next day, so now the fight is over, and we all slept in the hotel, us and everyone on Twitch that got brought down. We all slept there, and the next day was this party. And I remember going to the party and seeing like professional photographer. I remember seeing some girl singing on stage, and a guy telling jokes after. And in my head, I was like, someone flew that girl down. I don't know who she is, but she got hotel room. She may have also gotten paid to be here. I'm looking at the food on the table. I'm not really hungry. I'm like, all this food. I'm like, I was with my partner at the time. I was like, I don't know if everyone here is analyzing it the way I am, but we paid for this party. I thought money was going to charity still. So I'm like, money's going to charity, but like this party is paid for by us because we were supposed to get a bonus on top of it all.
Yeah, so you guys didn't know how bad it really was, and then you were like, did they throw us under the bus, or...
No, that's when I found out the sick kids paid for that party, not us, actually.
They held a Met Gala for streamers where people who are most popular for watching other people's content can pretend like they're celebrities for a night. They paid $20,000 to a comedian.
Now we all have monkeypox. Good. Get the fuck out of here. Let me earn my $20,000. All right, back to my prepared remarks.
Allegedly. But to me, the most egregious part of the Creator Clash 2 management and event organization is the fact that Ian got 3 nights at an expensive motel so they could process their trauma, because last time he just went home with a bruised face.
We also had events the day before the fight and the day after the fight, so that, fighters and friends and family could come together and process their trauma. That was sort of paramount for me, because the first year we did the fight and then I went to bed. I got the shit kicked out of me by Dr. Mike, and then I went to bed, and then I woke up, the hotel was empty, and then I got on a flight and traveled 5 hours with my face completely swollen back to Seattle, and I was like, that was cool. That was so worth it. There was nothing. There was no processing my trauma. There was no talking to anyone and relating about the experience afterward. Everyone was gone. And that shit felt awful. So
now, I'm not going to be the one to uphold traditionally masculine concepts, but grow the fuck up. You're doing this not for yourself. This isn't some personal glory. You're doing it for kids with cancer. And if that means you have to go home with a bruised face to save money to make sure the kids can make that cancer money that they need so that they can get treatments they need, I can't see a better reason to go home with a beat up face. And what was Ian's excuse for the failure of Creator Clash 2? Piracy.
Amongst the 800 pirated streaming sites, there were between 1.3 and 3 million viewers. So even though there were around 50,000 pay-per-view buys, there were around 1.3 to 3 million viewers, people who actually watched the full broadcast. And that's a little bit reassuring. It makes me feel...
Because somehow having more eyes on you and somehow having already had a good reputation means that people are more willing to pirate from you. It couldn't possibly be the incredibly large fighter purses and the massive hotel and the Met Galas and the 2 documentaries you filmed that you never actually made. And on top of all of it, an overpaid comedian, allegedly. It's the pirates. The fucking pirates. Johnny Depp. Monkey D. Luffy. That's the reason why Creator Clash 2 failed. And to try and make up for the fact that Creator Clash 2 gave no money to kids with cancer, Ian would do a live stream where he humiliated himself for almost 24 hours to try and raise up enough money to make up for the losses. He raised about $180,000, which is really commendable, but it proves something. You never needed this shitty boxing event to make money for kids with cancer. Your fan base just wants to watch you get beat up. Arrest my case here with the words from Anissa herself.
This is a charity event, so you're not making any, all the profits are going to charity.
Yeah.
Yes. We're paying our fighters just to cover their
training costs.
Training costs and
Flights.
Any costs associated with sort of putting their life on hold.
Yeah.
And even still, a lot of these guys do make a lot of money when they're not fighting, so we can't make up for that, but
What's your end goal? You guys are putting your. I know you had a profitable business on OnlyFans.
Mhm.
You obviously are a YouTuber. You guys put all that on hold.
Yeah.
You are training, putting on this event. Is there like a payday in the future you guys are working towards?
No, not really. I think we always want to have, if we keep doing this type of event, and we kind of want it to be like a Super Bowl, like every year.
You want to do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
If it works out, then we can do that, and there could always be a charity aspect to it. But I think the main goal is just to get the people paid who are involved in making it happen, rather than like making exorbitant amounts of money.
So your goal is to build an institution of sorts, this creator clash, where you can
'cause
have
it's
people.
fun.
There's a champion every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, it's a party.
Interesting.
It's like
super
a
stoked to
way more exciting VidCon.
After the content cops, Ian would move on to doing documentaries on lolcows or just generally semi-famous people on the internet that aren't really famous for anything positive. And his first video was Full Force on a YouTuber called Airsoft Fatty. He's a fat kid that likes Star Wars. I don't really care about the content inside of Full Force. What I care about is the aftermath of Full Force. Allegedly, Airsoft Fatty was harassed to no end after the Full Force video. Ian's fans called Airsoft Fatty's landlord until he was basically out on the street.
You know, my best friend B, he originally reached out to Sam for me because, like, I was going through some shit. I was going homeless that fucking week when I reached out to him. Because, guess what? Some of the trolls that came from you were calling my landlord at the time, making death threats to a point that I was asked to move and given a 1 week notice. So my buddy B reached out on a whim and got me on Fish Tank Season 1. So by the way, that wasn't even fucking orchestrated. I didn't even know who the guy was until after I was already on my way. And you know what the worst fucking part is? I reached out to you first. I reached out to you about that situation. I didn't ask you for money. I said, I need some advice. And then you sat there and told me, sometimes you just gotta cut the bleeding limb off and get a job. Is that what you say to someone that you thought had potential? Or is that something that you say to someone that you consider a waste?
Which, if you know anything about Ian's current financial situation, is fucking hilarious.
Okay, so here's the fucking deal.
We're poor. Sorry.
Newsflash, we're poor. That's why we're in the basement for a third or fourth week in a row.
Now, this is all allegedly, and I do preface this by saying it's allegedly because we don't know if it's true. But I tend to believe these, and I'll tell you why. The main reason why is that Ian has never actually directly addressed anything that Airsoft Fatty said to him, and Airsoft Fatty tends to be a pretty trustworthy person, as he hasn't really been proven to be dishonest, but Ian has proven to be incredibly dishonest. And the way that Ian talks about his boxing coach, and the way that he talks about his boxing coach's wife, and the kind of people that he surrounds himself with, it's pretty easy to assume that Ian probably fucked this guy over. I kind of hate how Ian's apology for saying the N-word and apology for content cops is somehow seen as some big turning point from Ian, when right after that he did his most destructive and most harmful video. Let me ask you something, dear viewer. Do you think that it's more harmful for someone to say the N-word to make their teenage audience laugh really loud, or to ruin someone's life so bad that they need to rely on another famous internet personality to get their life back on track because a random YouTuber made a video about you? No one who ever had a content cop made on them lost their livelihood, who were put on the street. That never happened to anyone. Keemstar runs Lolcow Live. Tana Mongeau does whatever the fuck she's doing now. I actually don't know. Ricegum ruined his own career. Leafy is bananas insane. So what exactly am I supposed to take away from this? That content cops are some infinitely harmful monster on the internet that could consume people's lives because he said a couple of slurs in them? Or that somehow Full Force isn't those things times 10 because he never said the N-word? I'm genuinely confused on where the goalpost is.
What don't you fucking understand?
Ian Ian is a hypocritical, pathetic loser. So often, Ian will talk about how harassment's bad, how it's harassment to criticize him for his failed boxing event, how it's harassment to point out that Ethan shouldn't have had to defend his children over petty internet drama. But it is incredibly funny that Ethan had 2 human skulls sent to his house.
Your opinion on the skulls, and did you send them?
I didn't send the skulls. I don't know. I thought the skulls thing was kind of humorous to hear that. Especially when I heard that they were like from skulls.com or something like that. That made it funny.
Just a death threat to a father, a family.
Yeah. Was it a death threat?
Just kidding.
Ethan is a genocidal, psychopathic Zionist because, heaven forbid, he'd not want the people of Israel to die. But at the same time, it's totally fine that my wife pushes an OnlyFans, a company ran by a man who donates a lot of fucking money to Israel. Ian has 0 principles. He lives by no standards. The only thing that Ian believes in is his own sanctity on the internet. There is not a single piece of honesty or good faith left inside of Ian.